These aren't kids anymore.
And this one, Hermione, she's rock and roll. She's girl power. She's out there doing everything.
Foul, loathsome, evil.
Malfoy insults her, and instead of keep walking, just ignore him. That's it. Smack.
I remember agents start calling about possibilities to play Dumbledore. I remember David getting so upset and said, we're not going to discuss this for a long time. You know, he didn't want to go there. And I respect and admire that quite a lot. And then once that we needed to start moving on, I think that it was very clear that we were leaning very rapidly towards Michael Gambon.
Welcome, welcome to another year at Hogwarts.
There's a grace and there's a dignity and there's a weight there. And Michael's very mischievous in his own sort of special way.
In any press conference that he was asked, how do you feel stepping into Richard Harris's shoes, he would pretend that he didn't know that he was replacing somebody. He would go, oh, am I?
What Michael Gambon has brought to the film is something very special, because I think he's acknowledged Richard in giving Dumbledore a little bit of an Irish accent, but he again has made the character very much his own.
We must search the ground. Well, search the skies if you must, Minister. Meanwhile, I'd like a nice cup of tea or a large brandy.
Something of the slight changes that we wanted to do is that we wanted to recover one element of the Dumbledore of the books, that is a certain, rather than a regalness, a certain funkiness. He could seem a little shabby and a little distracted, but actually he's completely in control of everything. And that's something that I think that Michael brought onto the table really beautifully. One more time.
The lines came out, but they're all jumbled.
Dumbledore is who Dumbledore is by the very nature of what Rowling wrote. Wise, eccentric, with a twinkle in his eye. He doesn't replace Richard. He is doing Michael Gambon's Dumbledore.
Dear lady, who did this to you?
It's him, Headmaster. The one they all talk about. He's here, somewhere in the castle. Sirius Black!
Don't tell me you've never been hearing of Sirius Black. He's a murderer.
Throughout the whole first part of the film, the big villain, the big danger is Sirius Black. And there's a twist in which you realize that actually Sirius Black has been a good guy all along. Not only a good guy, he's going to become the new father figure for Harry. So we needed an actor who could not only play the two different parts, but play the transition to the different parts.
Gary Oldman as Sirius Black. There's a kind of rock and roll quality about Gary. And he's not that old, but he kind of feels like he's been there forever, really. In a good way, in a really kind of rebellious way.
The world has read these books, so I'm not going to be everyone's idea of Sirius Black. I'd like to think I haven't disappointed anyone.
Gary said that he's one of his most difficult characters to play because he says, I'm used to masks. And he said, this Sirius Black is so raw. That voice is mine. I'm not playing accents, I'm playing my own accent. I'm not playing masks, pretty much this is the way I look. And emotionally, he's dealing with something that is so close to him, that is his relationship with his children. So I think that you can see that rawness in his relationship with Harry.
The first person I was consciously quite scared of working with was when Gary Oldman came in. By that point, I was more knowledgeable about film and about drama, and I knew a lot of his films. So working with him was very frightening.
It's cruel that I got to spend so much time with James and Lily and you so little. I kind of treat Harry like an adult, really. And also I'm living a friendship through him because he's so like James, who was my mucker, my mate.
But know this, the ones that love us never really leave us.
So I'm a man very much emotionally rooted in the old days, when we were the young order.
I found that when I would see the flashbacks of the parents of Harry, James was a very cool dude. In their youth, James, Sirius Black, Lupin, Peter Pettigrew, they were this mischievous crowd.
Alfonso had this idea that we were a little like the Beatles, that kind of Abbey Road look, and that Sirius was a bit of he's a little bit reckless. So we were thinking that he was kind of a little bit like the John Lennon of the group.
Well, Sirius, looking rather ragged, aren't we? Finally, the flesh reflects the madness within.
Well, you'd know all about the madness within, wouldn't you, Remus?
Lupin was another new character we're going to introduce in Azkaban. There was a lot of discussion who should play this.
Nobody quite does troubled as well as David. Preoccupied. It's like there's always something at the back of his mind, like he's forgotten something.
My goodness, you poor thing.
You remember the sensation then?
Oh, this is nothing.
Lupin needed, in a way, the opposite journey than Sirius Black. If Sirius Black was going to be from a very dangerous character, turning him into the most lovable character for Harry, here was the other way around.
Run, all of you, now!
It was how you have a character that is absolutely full of love and understanding, then to realize that he's a monster, and you see him back, and you don't judge him because you still love the pure side and the bright side of this character.
A favourite teacher, you know, is how Harry describes Lupin, and indeed J.K. Rowling describes where Lupin comes from for her. And so I sort of look back at some of my favourite teachers when I was back at school, my English teacher, my drama teacher, my art teacher, who took me under their wing. In The Prisoner of Azkaban, most of my scenes are with just Dan. The nice thing I found was that he's a remarkably wonderful boy, now young man, and so it wasn't difficult at all to feel affection for him and to feel protective of him.
Ridiculous!
Emotionally, it was never a kid hanging with a werewolf. It was this kid hanging with his favorite uncle who has this disease. You know what I mean? It was always finding the reference in the universe that we know.
Well done, Harry. Well done.
Another new character introduced in Azkaban. Professor Trelawney and Emma Thompson agreed to do the character.
Tonight, he who betrayed his friends, whose heart rots with murder, shall break free.
I thought about the character, and it was just the first thing that occurred to me was, if she's always going, look beyond, if you're always looking beyond, then you can't see what's there. So I thought, if she hasn't looked at herself, she can't see herself, then she must look all sort of undone and not at all well put together. I did have buttons here once, but I don't know where they are. They've gone.
She took the character of Trelawney, and what she did was so great. Says, yes, in the book, she whispers all the time. She says, I don't know if we're going to achieve necessarily cinematically what is in the book just by whispering. And so she started doing this balance of whispering and screaming.
Crystal gazing requires that you clear the inner eye.
Emma Thompson became like the big teacher for Emma Watson.
Maybe I'm in years. The heart, it beats beneath your bosom, is as shriveled as an old maid's.
Little Emma, she was at awe that she was going to work with Emma Thompson. She thought she was going to meet this very aloof genius. And what she received was this person who was just trying for everybody to have a good experience while we were working together.
I loved Emma Thompson. She treated everyone with exactly the same level of respect. And if I keep acting, which I hope that I will, I hope that I would be how she is as an actress.
I do wish I was with you until Christmas. But it's been gorgeous. Thank you so much. It's been such an honour. I've loved it. I have.
Between the third and the fourth, there was more of a break. You know, there was a much more substantial time off. It was just great to be back here with everyone who I've got to know so well after the last few films.
It's kind of like we were back for a new term at Hogwarts, literally.
But I always get quite nervous when you sort of find out it's going to be a new director, because you spend a long time with them, so you get quite close, and it's quite nerve-wracking to see what sort of person it's going to be.
Now, would you listen to me, please? There is no point in any of us being here unless you are good. And every one of you has got to show with their face, with their body language, with everything to me, that it is unbelievably dangerous. It's not just thinking about Harry Potter. We all have Harry Potter, so for kids, right? Well, not this one.
Mike Newell has a real professorial quality and was very much a taskmaster and encouraging them to capture the essence of the characters they're playing.
Mike Newell's such a big personality. He's so British.
And it was so loud and, like, if he said something, everybody would shut up.
It's about how you pay attention. It's about how jumpy you are. It's about how you respond when he shouts at you.
It's really sort of quite scary sometimes.
They don't know me, they don't know what I want, they just know that they have been told to sit up straight and fold their hands in their laps and pay attention. Action!
Stay away from me. Fine.
You would say something to them and they would say, yes sir, thank you sir, very good sir, yes sir. And you'd think that's not it at all. There were these two called the twins, who are brothers to Rupert.
Yeah, Jamie's this side? Right, okay, Jamie, you go first. Am I looking at the right bloke?
I still can't remember which way round they are, but they're heavenly boys.
Here we go, Massachusetts, everybody.
And I'd staged a little bit of action in the corner where they started a kind of sort of pushing fight, which I then wanted to ignite into something more serious. They did a very sort of stiff. I said, no, come on. You know it's not like that.
Cut! Cut it! Cut!
He comes over and looks over the top of me and goes, right, which one of you two wants to fight?
Okay, who wants to fight?
Like a fool, I said, yes, OK, I will.
On came one of them, I don't remember which one. With me trying to bang his head on the stones and him trying to bang my head on the stones.
And he starts, like, throwing me around, so I thought, OK, I'll throw him around.
The rest of the children couldn't believe what they were seeing. His director is rolling on the floor with so-and-so.
One of the crew had left something on the floor, and as I threw him onto it, it turned out he bruised or cracked his rib or something like that.
So I had to be helped up off the floor like the old man that I was. And of course they found the whole performance absolutely hysterical. And I, at that point, stepped over a line with them and they kind of knew I was all right.
He let it all go and made it really unintense, unrestricted, which helped us immensely. He really had the characters going totally different to what we'd done before.
The Goblet of Fire allowed us to expand beyond the walls of Hogwarts. We just were able to see that the wizarding world was a much bigger world than we'd been accustomed to.
Please greet the proud sons of Durmstrang.
Durmstrang and the Barbatons both have much better opening chance than us, and I'm pissed off about this. Stan, you're a Durmstrang. Would you not agree that your blokes have got, and the Barbatons have got a much better entrance?
We met the Durmstrangs, the Beaubatons, who were quite exotic by comparison to our sort of English public school.
They come in doing martial arts, and ours is the Hogwarts, Hogwarts, teach us something, please.
Hogwarts, Hogwarts, teach us something, please. Hogwarts, Hogwarts, teach us something, please.
So we bid you truly welcome, you are a fine lord.
We now
now have our 3 champions.
I'm Clémence Poésie, playing Fleur de la Cour in Harry Potter.
In a way, she is what English think a French girl would be. I mean, she's very chic and very, you know, Miss Perfect all the time.
Victor Krum is the Bulgarian seeker. He's this